Mr. Chairman, you're live.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're out of executive at 1:22. We have authorized the road superintendent to proceed as advised. Our next agenda item is an action item. Is anybody else coming for this one? Can we do it now or do we need to wait?
I think Facilities Director was going to,
Oh, is Scott coming?
I believe so, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we're gonna go
And
mute.
he's
We'll
here.
see her. Oh, he's here now. Hang on.
What happened to Granite today? Who knows?
I got a message from Josh Davis, says they're gonna start tomorrow. And I expect to be paving by Thursday or Friday out here.
Okay, we're gonna move on down to our next agenda item. This is an action item. This is approve a parking lot expansion regarding 700 South Main Street. I'm assuming, Scott, you've got some information on that.
Well, we, after submitting for review, we had a meeting last Thursday. And, after talking with Dan, we, I sent a deal to withdraw this proposal. Because it needs a lot more put into it before we start getting into it. I talked with Dan, we need to do some surveying. This is not the total parking lot. Toby did what we talked with Neil, the east side over there and kind of prepping down below. But he's not interested in doing any paving. It would be left unpaved, for the winter, which we don't have time now to get a request for proposal in for paving. So I think we need to look at trying to do this in the spring is what we discussed, and go about it that way. We can actually do it right, make sure we're getting everything done right and stuff. Because right now we're just kind of attacking it with it needs a little more planning and a little more forethought into it.
You were also, if I remember correctly, on the east side, going down into the prosecutor, there's a berm there with trees on it. You're gonna shove it that way too?
Yeah, that's the plan is to go over to the fence line. We'll have to put collars and bring up, because there's cleanouts actually along that fence line for the sewer for the hardware store and stuff. So that needs to be addressed, and those would all have to be raised up so that they still are meet code and everything.
So it just barely rolls over on that east side and then gets really steep. I don't know why, but I'm thinking in the west side, that we were doing something on the west side.
We're looking at trying to, down below, because the west side has where as you turn in where the sign is, and then that drops down, and so we're looking at trying to expand the lower part a little bit and put additional parking. We're gonna have to go alongside the transformer and stuff there, make a drive through there, and maybe put more substantial bollards in or something to protect that transformer, especially in the winter for plowing snow and stuff. And then actually Toby suggested possibly even taking that lower parking lot and putting a ramp down into the fairgrounds property, so we kind of have two forms of egress in and out of that place and stuff. And also, if push came to shove, down there where they have the warm-up area flat, it could be used for additional parking for some reason. We're having something that requires more parking than we have there and stuff. So
Do we know how many parking stalls we need?
Yeah.
That was my
It's
original
supposed to be.
question, is do we really need all this parking? There's a lot of stalls up.
I don't think there's that many. No, it's,
It'd be good to
now
know.
we're gonna have all the public coming into that same facility.
The architect is supposed to get back with Clearwater this week, so we will have their conception of what they're proposing
yeah.
this week or next week, and then we'll know a little more there.
So yeah, once we know who and all is moving down there and the number of bodies they have there, and then what departments, and then kind of look how much public traffic goes to those particular, departments that are down there, then we can have a better idea of whether we may not need to do quite as big as expansion, or not even mess with that lower west part down there. Just get that graded so we don't have that big ice rink where the prosecuting attorneys have got to enter the building in the winter.
Yeah, that's kind of something there, that does.
One of the things the architect brought up is she doesn't think it's ADA compliant on that side. So the ADA compliance might be an issue also, where we would have to take somebody through to the back.
Yeah, that's possibly because they have the parking lot, and what's we noticed when we were actually just looking out the window, the parking lot, and then they have that concrete curbing, and then the pavers, and that there's that curbing is higher than both, so someone trying to get a wheelchair over that could possibly be an issue.
It's a trip.
And and tripping hazard on top of that. So.
So I think it's wise to wait and look at it next spring. There are no more numbers and how many cars.
Yeah.
And,
I think doing some type of a flow control, how do we want traffic to move through there is probably part of that greater conversation too on the fairgrounds and, what's going where. So that's probably something too. I've got an RFP floating around for people's input right now on that fairgrounds. So maybe waiting and seeing how we want to move traffic around and through there.
Yep.
I agree that we should somehow tie those two things together. Just for ingress egress would be really helpful instead of having one area
Yeah.
in and out of the
well,
fairgrounds.
Scott, do we have to secure that facility with a magnetometer and all that?
What's that?
Are we gonna have to secure the front door of that facility, the security and all that?
I asked the architect a bit of that.
That's kind of something we need to look who's going to be there, and if I don't know how secure you guys feel down there. I mean, very. I mean, you can't get in without a badge, but are we going to go to a security type building like we have here? I mean, we have this for the court. Mainly was what my understanding of it is.
Yeah, that was from the three judges in the beginning.
If anybody's going to have a grudge against anybody, it's going to be the prosecutor's office more than anybody. So,
We're sitting ducks wherever we are, but,
We
so
did ask those for your doors to be frosted.
yeah, I mean, aside from the offices that we used to occupy were really not adequate for our team, being behind security is a big plus, and it's something we miss down there. So the more security we have, the better, because we do deal with some people that
Well, and in that,
cause some.
if we do have security, we know that that's expensive, not only for the magnetometer, but for the staff, for sheriff deputy to be there. And that's gonna be a big budget jump for them to provide that, so.
Well, Larry down there had made an interesting comment last time I was talking to him, and he said the jail people have to be within this platform. They can only oversee this building and the jail. And so we're gonna have to have that conversation. Does the sheriff have to hire somebody new, or what is part of that
Private
contract?
security.
Yeah. That's a conversation we're gonna have to have, because it didn't sound like the jail team could be that far off site.
So Scott, we're not gonna try to do any of that work with Toby this year.
no, I don't believe so.
We may wanna get him on the hook in the spring as one of his first jobs, so.
I think it's a large enough cost. I mean, he came in right under, but that was with not paving.
Well, he didn't wanna give a paving bid.
But what I'm saying is, we're now knocking up against that. You gotta put it out for RFP. We need to actually put that thing out for bid with the entire
I'd
process.
like to see it all in one contract.
To get the whole parking lot done instead of in piecemeal, too, was one of the talking points that we had when we met last week is, do we want to tear this up, leave the gravel exposed to the winter conditions, and then, it seemed like we'd be in a constant state of construction if.
And mud trucking in and out of
Yeah.
the building.
So it's gonna inconvenience it'd be nice to have everything done before everybody moved down there, but it doesn't look like that's gonna work out.
I like the idea of an RFP, giving other guys to compete on that and to include paving.
Yeah, I'd like it all in one package.
Right,
So I'd like to do-
exactly, including, you know, leveling everything off,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. No, maybe
And they
their
could-
door could be a separate contract with somebody just to come in and lift the pavers
Yeah.
and level it.
We'd also like for Dan to see just what specifications we need to put in on it.
We got
I think
the state standards that we can use to put the specs out there.
I would recommend, using ISPWC in particular, at least for the parking lot area, because I think you'll start, as soon as you start tearing that asphalt out, you're gonna see a lot more soft spots that you're gonna have to fix. You're gonna have to dig all that out and apply, 3/4 gravel on it and then build it up from there. But also, include the specifications for density. Make sure that you have compaction so that it won't fail again. That'll be the critical thing. It'll cost, it's gonna cost to do all of this, but I think it's the right choice for the facility.
So is this something that you want to prep and deal with now on the front end, not doing it, but taking care of all the engineering and getting all that worked out, exactly what we want, how we want it now?
I think it's-
Snow covers everything?
I think it's definitely, we need to focus utilizing ISPWC in terms of the contract. Design-wise, I don't know, really, the only design that I would think you would need is the surveying as part of it. And so maybe you could do the surveying, get all of that done, so now that you know how everything is gonna flow and where you want it to flow.
Kind of like a footprint of what you want to do and make everything drainage and whatnot.
And then, after the contract is awarded, utilize the same surveyor to have him go out and stake it for you.
Well, and does anybody know where they're storing snow down there?
I have no idea.
Because I know they had to quit doing it on the south side because it was melting off into the hardware store.
We
They
can
used
push
to pile
it,
it there before the hardware store came in.
we can push it the other way now because we own the properties.
We can push it to the east.
Mhm.
The east and
North.
Yeah, well, you kind of got the northeast corner there, then you kind of hit that berm and you can't, so it's gonna have to be taken down and go kind of, how it goes down and goes out towards that can be pushed that way. I know they've been kind of pushing it up, kind of where you guys park on the west side there, isn't it? Yeah, as you come down into the PA's parking lot, the west side that faces the highway,
Pushed it off there.
they kind of berming some up there and kind of actually to the north too, up against that side over there. But then when that melts, that drains, they tried to kind of think there's that drain they tried to make there, but it doesn't work. And then we put a lot of salt or sand there and again, it gets tracked in the building and makes clean up a lot of work. But we gotta keep it safe too, that someone doesn't fall and do some additional janitorial, just keep someone from slipping and falling and being injured.
There is those front pavers at the front door too, they're sinking. So that's a tripping hazard right there too. All that needs to come out. We probably need to just put stamped concrete or something back in there instead of all those pavers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The pillars on the bottom end, I noticed that a lot of it's diving right into it, so it's losing any capacity for compaction around those. So taking all of that off and making sure that you have some type of perforated type of pipe where it can take it down and around that, so it's not, hopefully it's not doing any damage. It's more
It
surface.
sounds to me like the RFP is a little bit bigger than just building a dirt paved parking lot right now.
Mhm.
We need to look at drainage and all that stuff. And I think our county surveyor can survey it.
Do you want to include these projects into this RFP as well? So not just the pavement and the parking lot, but those paved walkways and entrances and
Does this have to go to CIP?
We need to put all that in there.
Say again.
Does this have to go to the
Yeah.
CIP committee?
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Final approval?
Yeah, because
It's ARPA funds though.
oh, it is, okay.
Different funding source. So these are the funds that we have left over from the purchase. So this will all be ARPA money. So I don't know, Doug, you think,
That's ultimately up to the commissioners.
I think it's time sensitive. I don't think we wait until next spring to do this. So
Mhm.
I think we get all of it done. We put out an RFP, we see what it's gonna cost, and then we can take it back.
This will definitely exceed, I mean, with all of this, this will exceed the price point for putting it out to bid, so
Mhm.
we're definitely gonna have to do that.
Did they change that this year?
They did.
200,000 now.
It's up to 100,000, but just the bid, the quote that we got for research, or not even resurfacing, just taking the I mean, it's 50 from Olson to do less than half.
Yeah, I mean, he, you know, what he did was, you know, remove the asphalt on the lower parking area, grub trees and stumps. To the lot north, on the northwest and to the east, provide install culverts. Trucking, placing manhole cones for existing sewer cleanouts, and just grading. And doing some fine grading, you know, or 48. I mean, just with, we know what's paving here and we're getting, you know, 2-year-old prices for this out here. I'm sure the paving alone is gonna be, you know, $90,000 to $100,000, you know. That's after it's all graded and then by the time we look at surveying and redoing curbing and everything else, you know.
I figured we'd be 250 into the part of it on the outside, but
So, yeah, it's, definitely gonna have to put a request for proposal. So,
Okay, so this is an action item, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion that we go out for an RFP to improve the drainage over here. Pavement, pavers, entrances be re-leveled. What else? Compaction,
parking lot expansion.
parking lot expansion,
you know, surveying and,
and for construction in the 25 season.
Second.
Any more discussion?
You know, I think looking at that, kind of like you and I looked at it, carrying it right on down into that other lower parking area, having access down there, I think that'd be smart. If we need it. I think it'd be a good thing to look at when we're doing all this design.
Well, and as there's events down in the rodeo area, they're gonna use the parking lot up top too. So, I mean, it just expands that parking availability too.
Okay, everything good? We got a motion and a second. Go out for an RFP. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, motion carries. And you'll notify Toby that we're gonna do this different.
I've already talked to him.
Thanks, Dan, for the help.
Okay.
Thank you. Another project,
Thanks,
Scott,
guys.
before you leave,
Yes.
which, by the way,
The transfer site's turning out, and it's gonna be quite a project.
oh man,
You know, trouble is we're trying to figure out what's along that berm. And an old print shows there's a 10,000 gallon tank buried there. I think it's required for fire protection. I think we found it. So,
Is it plastic or metal?
I don't know.
When they built the Maritidal building, they required them to have.
No, we're talking the transfer site. When we were up there, met with Perpetua last week, kind of where we were standing down there, there's some blocks and it's got like a metal gate out of the back of a truck or something on it. And we moved it and there's a metal cover and it's kind of got a hole there and it had a framework it used to go in, but it's broken, but it's a tank full of water. And then there's off about 10 feet is about a 5-6 inch pipe comes up with a T and it's got connections for fire hoses on it. And then down below, there's a culvert coming out of the side of the embankment and it's got another pipe with a connector for a fire hose on it too. And then there's It looks like a well casing with a top that lock, but that doesn't. You open it and there's a key in it. I think that opens the valve to the one that comes out of the embankment down below.
Oh, my goodness.
So I need to talk to Juan and see what their requirement is up there for fire protection, because there's no hydrants or anything.
There's nothing. That's,
So what they're kind of suggesting right now is right out of the wall is about a 5,000 gallon septic tank for the old trench drain that was in there. We're not gonna put the trench drain back in now. So possibly taking that out and relocating the 10,000 gallon tank to that location. And then we can use that to build our Z-wall over there and stuff. But we got electrical out there. We don't know the source, where it comes from, if it's live, what filled the 10,000 gallon tank. If there's a float system or what, so.
Didn't we, maybe for sure it's on the board, but didn't we do some well work up where we burned the woody debris? And we had a well, we put a new pump in,
Now, there's actually there's two buried tanks up there.
and that was just for.
And there's a little like storm or well, it's not little, it's like I don't know, 10 by 15 or 16, and it has a gas powered pump in it. And those tanks were there in case that pile caught on fire, is what it is. And they fill that with from the well down below, is what they do.
I thought we did something up there.
Yeah, there's two buried tanks.
We may not need this 10,000 gallon tank down below.
Well, that's, if that woody recon fire, that wouldn't do anything up there. Probably get burnt down is what would happen. And, but we need something, since there's no hydrants, if something caught on fire inside the transfer site, they need a water source besides what they bring up in a tanker. They have another 10,000 gallons, they can hook their pump truck to it. And that's another 10,000 gallons they can spray onto something. You know, I don't know how fast, what they're pumping. I don't think it would last long on a fire truck with a pump. One of those hoses put out water, but it's.
So this buried tank that's there now, is that in the way of adding another bay?
Well, it's kind of in the way of doing the Z-wall we want to do there
Oh.
for the household trash, to keep that, the residential household people just throwing it out, quick, small stuff out of the building, so the building's more for trailers and larger, loads being dumped there.
The guy that's with Waste Connections, does he know all this?
Terry?
Was-
Terry?
does he know all this?
Yeah. Mhm.
So he can look at that maybe as part of the design on that.
Well, he's with Waste Connections. This is with Great West, who's.
Great West, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Actually, Travis is going to Moscow today. He was just gonna swing in and do a little snooping on his own as he's going by too, because we're.
Never ends.
No.
For owning 100 acres up there, we get to do very little with that. It's a pretty dang tiny footprint.
Well, Mara was saying we're gonna meet Thursday up there with someone who's gonna kind of do a survey of the timber and kind of look at what we have up there on that upper deck. I'm not, how much property we actually have, and so gonna do that on Thursday.
We'll get on GIS because a lot of that was the old dump. It's been buried, so we probably can't build anything on top of that.
Yeah. But if we could utilize it someplace we could actually store the concrete and grind it and then recycle that would be helpful instead of what we're doing, pushing it off the back right now.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Thanks, you guys.
thank you.
Our next agenda item is an action item. This is also an executive session to communicate with legal. So I would entertain a motion to go into executive per Idaho Code 742061F.
I have contract I used to do.
Second.
Moved and seconded by roll call, please.
Bob and I.